And we're back.
National Players Club Garage Pod.
Garage Pod.
Brought to you from Nikki's Italian Bistro.
Pizza Pod.
Pizza Pod.
Pizza Pod. We are Pizza Pod. We have moved out of the garage. Mom and Dad kicked us out. They got tired of our shit. And here we are. Out live. We're live. Well,
So,
on location. We're on location.
We're on location. We're live, but tomorrow we're not.
But no, tomorrow we'll still be live.
We'll be alive.
Alive. We just
Alive.
won't be
Already.
exactly.
Like Adrian Peterson.
Shut it.
So congratulations to Mike and Nikki for winning your game this week. You are 1-1 in Nikki's league.
1-1. Me too.
You're 1-1 in Nikki's league.
I am 0-2 in the
House league.
House to the National
National
Players
Players
Club.
Club.
But I am 2-0 in the Monday Night Scrum.
I am 0-2 in the Players Club and 2-0 in the Nikki's league. My wife, starting off strong again, is 2-0.
Yeah, but
With
she'll,
the loss to Jamal Charles.
she'll be there. I got faith.
I hope not, man. She's getting disgruntled. And a disgruntled woman is never a good thing.
Do that.
So coming back into this, we're going to throw out some stuff. We're going to look at
You got some, hey, you
very
thought,
good starts.
you thought it was a good draft pick on draft day, and suddenly it's not working out so well.
All the hype. They're all talking up players. Like the Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel. Everybody's like, oh, it's going to be 50-50. Oh, it's Manziel. Everybody's starting Manziel. Hoyer has done a great job.
Manziel actually got in the game yesterday, 0 for 1. But he did run the ball, and he looked really well. And actually, he did look pretty well. They talked to Johnny.
Well, he hasn't had a whole lot of like NFL snaps.
Right.
You know, Hoyer's getting the workload. So
And right now, he does need to be Johnny Headset.
Yep.
Johnny Clip.
So I mean, that's one of those things. You know, if you got Johnny Headset sitting on your bench, you may want to start making room. I mean, I don't see him starting anytime soon if they keep this roll going.
I don't think so. Sawyer's doing a fantastic job.
He's doing a good job. Another one that I wanted to bring up, which was actually on my end of it, was the Marquise Lee starting in Jacksonville. He was projected to be the clear, well, I wouldn't say clear cut, number 2 or number 1 with Cecil Shorts, but he had a lot more upside, and he was looking good in the preseason. So he said he had a great training camp.
There's a reason why it's preseason.
And he was looking good during training camp. The quarterback seemed to like him. And the Cecil Shorts going down, Alan Hearn came in. And Alan Hearn has become
Tore up.
the go-to guy. Now, in the same sense, Cecil Shorts out with the hammy, kind of day-to-day. He's going to be playing. But, yeah. Andre Hearn, or Alan Hearn is hurt with Hearn's hurt hand.
Yep. I think so.
That leaves Marquise Lee, who's not injured. Still not showing up.
No,
at the practice.
ankle. Got an ankle.
An ankle?
Plus,
Oh, yeah.
practice on one.
Ingram with the hand. Who's out now.
Yep.
Don't be our thoughts. So, you know, it kind of leaves Jacksonville in the quandary as to who to throw the ball to.
I think that team has more problems than their loss. Blaine Gabbert is definitely not starting.
Gabbert thrown?
Gabbert's they're starting to play.
Oh, thrown.
No, he is he's on the bench.
There it is. So, you know, that's, but it's still one of those things to look at as a clear cut number 2. He's not even showing up. Same way in Cleveland with Ben Tate and Terrence West.
Yes.
You had Ben Tate, who is the dynamo monster, but every time Terrence West steps on the field, he produces.
And Ben Tate, I mean, game 1 put up like 3-4 points. You look at what West did, he did like 14 points. I mean, just, you know, he's with Tate being injured, he's definitely taking away carries from Ben Tate comes back. Especially, you know, with Tate being injured, if West is rocking and rolling, they got a brand new coach.
Ben Tate went from a number 2 behind Arian Foster.
So
When Arian went down, he was clearly a startable running back. So he goes to Cleveland where he's the number one,
D-man.
and he had to fight his way up to the top on that. Evidently, he did his job. And now, going down, he's having to split carries with West in the beginning. It was a running back by committee.
Running back.
Now it's running back by democracy. And we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But that's still not a clear cut. It could turn into a supreme, like a 50-50 carry. And Penn State's value is going to drop at that because West is going to increase. That'd be one of those unhandcuffed maneuvers. And if you've got one or the other, you might be able to put a trade out there to strengthen up a wide receiver position.
Sure. I got Ben Payne. We'll talk. Just saying.
It's probably not a bad idea for her.
You know, and then the other thing we're talking about, you know, clear-cut starters and stuff. You have guys out there that have been rock stars. And granted, we're only 2 weeks into the season. But you have guys out there that have been rock stars, you know, for
The last 3 seasons,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. And all of a sudden, you know, they're not producing like they used to.
Yeah.
Tony Romo.
Used to be almost a guaranteed 20 points a game.
Guaranteed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not a top tier.
Drew Brees.
But you could put him and see, and Matt Ryan last year was, you didn't have that.
Although I'm looking at the top performers here on our list. Matt Ryan is number 3 on the list behind Megatron and Julius Thomas. So, but it hasn't updated for this past weekend stats.
Yeah.
Looking at week 1 stats. You know, even though we're looking at week 1 stats, he was ahead of Matt Stafford. So,
Yeah, and Stafford's even had some rough games. He has not been the 20-30 point guy that he has been in the past.
exactly. Aaron Rodgers, another example. You know,
After the shellacking he took in week 1, turn around and you figure he walked into the Jets and just
had a great performance. The second
in the
half.
second half.
Second half, they owned the Jets. And then, speaking of the Jets, we've got Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is looking good.
Looking to be a phenomenal player.
CJ1K may actually turn back into CJ2K. He's been putting up some
Did not
solid yardage.
Did not have a good day yesterday.
Yeah, but his yard carry still shows.
Did not have a good day. I think he only put up like 6 points.
Yeah, he split carries with Chris Ivory.
And Ivory, again, proving going to take the job away from CJ2K.
I don't know about taking it. I bet they split it. CJ2K is doing better yards per carry, but he's just not getting the workload. And Dallas, of all teams, proved workload makes the difference. DeMarco Murray, who's had rough weeks,
He's a beast.
Whoa.
He was a beast yesterday.
Turned it on, turned it up, turned him loose,
But,
man.
I mean, that goes to show, you know, you have talents. You know, honestly, we're going to talk just football for a second. Dallas actually, I think, took all decision to making ability away from Tony Romo yesterday. Tony Romo had no say in how that offense went.
Possibility. I mean, unless you're on that field and with the headset, you don't know exactly what.
I would almost 110% guarantee that. Because Romo is a growing quarterback. And you look at their throws, their passes, as opposed to running. I mean,
Not the same sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Tony Romo, who is a throw first guy, knowing where he's at. Maybe he was the one calling the run first. I still don't think he's fully comfortable with his back yet going into this. So we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. I mean, it's way early in the season. Week 4, week 5, we'll start seeing a balance and we'll know what's going on better. Better information, better stats, better numbers, better possibilities,
better podcast.
better podcasts.
There we go.
And with donations from people like you, all we need is a credit card number.
Exactly.
So,
Or cash. We like
Or
cash.
cash. We love cash.
We love cash because you don't have to fight cash.
Not in this G Street.
Not hits.
I don't wear it these days. Jokes. Jokes. So, moving on.
Tight ends.
It's way early in the season. I think we decided that on the break.
We did.
Yeah. I mean, you've got tight ends that have started clearly.
You know what? Let's touch on this for a second. You know, I got the old laptop up and running again.
He just wants to touch on a tight end.
And just something we were talking about before we actually started the podcast. About, again, rock stars.
Yeah.
You
Jimmy
know,
Graham.
Jimmy Graham
Brian Davis.
on this list is tied for number 6. He is in a 4-way tie for 6th best tight end with Dwayne Allen, Larry Donald, Zach Ertz, Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates. So, I mean, but you look at the guys who, you've got a couple guys that are usual suspects on the top of that list. Julius Thomas, Vernon Davis.
Now, see, well, last year, Julius Thomas was not at the top of that list. There were way too many options in Denver. There's still way too many options.
But he wouldn't security blanket for Peyton Manning.
No, I wouldn't say security blanket. I think Julius Thomas found a hole in the Colts defense and he exploded.
But he had a good week this week. I think he put up 13 points, if I remember 14. We got the computer here. We can actually pull up the points.
For 38 points the week before and 14 points at Howard.
13 points and 38 points.
So, and that's not something you're going to see out of him every week. We're going to play next week.
Okay.
8 points.
Martellus Smith, who is actually with Chicago's tight end, who is, I think, become Jay Cutler's go-to guy.
Well, he's got Brandon Marshall on that field too.
But I mean, here's a guy. I watched that game yesterday, and Martellus Bennett was clutch. And I've seen him play for the past few years in Chicago since Dallas got rid of him. And I'm looking at his performance. I'm thinking to myself, Cowboys, why did you get rid of this guy? I mean,
The Cowboys are a practice squad for every other team.
I know. You have a guy who is, clearly heir apparent to Jason Witten, who is showing, how good of a tight end he is.
And he's a big receiving threat.
8 receptions, 70 yards, touchdown, week 1, 21 points. 7 receptions, 37 yards, and touchdown, and week 2 for 16 points. And just comparing that against Jason Witten, which, if you give me a second, I have to scroll down to be fine, Jason Witten.
Well, I mean, the thing with that, though, is a lot of teams are changing off.
Right here, ranked number 37 tight ends. Granted, this last week's stats. Against San Francisco, 2 receptions, 14 yards, 3 points. Yesterday, 4 receptions, 32 yards, 7 points.
And this is coming from a guy that a season ago, 2 seasons ago, he was
number 1 tight end.
Yeah,
I mean, for
number 1 tight end,
4 or 5 years in a row.
Tony's go-to guy, in a definite threat. Even on a double team, he was a threat. I mean, and you wonder what happened to that offensive line.
Is it age falling off?
I don't think it's age falling off. I think it's the lack of an offensive line and having to use as a blocker. And that seems to be the going rate of a lot. But at the same side, as long as you've got a strong, receiving core and a good running team, you can open up those tight ends. Look at Baltimore. Justin Forsett and Rice was there, Ray Rice in the backfield, and you have 2 tight ends that are clearly this year a danger. And then you have the new law firm, as I like to call them, Smith and Smith Senior. Sounds like a law firm. So you got Smith and Smith Senior on either side of the field. You can't cover everybody at once. You break off one guy, and it opens up. Another clear cut. Torrey Smith was supposed to be the best guy in Baltimore flat. He's the number 1 wide receiver with the loss of Anquan Bolden, 2 years ago? Torrey Smith. Steve Smith has put up 4 points, 4 receptions, 4 yards than Torrey Smith in the first 2 games.
Yep.
And he did it all preseason, too. I don't know if that's foreshadowing or overshadowing or just playing power football.
A guy that getting older,
It's a guy that's getting older, but he's still playing to top receiver ability. So, I mean, and I've had him on my bench the last 2 weeks, and he's put up more points than half of my receivers out there.
And if we take a look at, we're going to look at the wide receivers. and it's supposed to be a tight end segment where we're talking about, you know, wide receivers real quick. I mean, because
Tight end's kind of a wide receiver. Just stays closer to home.
exactly. You know, Calvin Johnson, Megatron, obviously being number one right now, wide receiver. Again, we're going off last week's numbers. This week's hasn't calculated in here yet. And there's your boy, number 4, right there on the list, Steve Smith.
Does Golden Tate fall above or below Steve Smith?
Oh, he's
How far below? Way below.
Yeah, number 28, tied for 28.
Which is kind of crazy because he's put up 11 points week 1, 12 points week 2, or something like that. So he stayed consistent, pulling off just enough coverage from that. That has to be a working.
15 points week 1, 10 points week 2.
Okay, so yeah, and that's probably staying.
No, PPR.
Oh, okay. Well, and so yeah, you get 25 points, just enough coverage to where you don't want to leave him alone.
He is, you know, kind of easy. The reason why, you know, Megatron being number 1, I think Golden Tate is kind of alleviating some of that pressure.
Yeah, because the moment you pull off the extra coverage on Tate, yeah, it's Megatron all day. And the moment you put that coverage back on Megatron, it's Tate.
And Golden Tate has proved throughout his career he's done something. Yeah, so he is definitely a good one. So, kind of talk on that.
Where's the D?
Where's the D?
Where is the D?
And
Defenses this last 2 weeks have been up and down.
absolutely. I mean, here you have.
I'm just going to put it out there. Seahawks.
Seahawks, you know,
They took
touted
us
the number 1 defense projected, you know, in fantasy football.
and they gave up probably the most points this year.
You want to know who the projected number 1 defense is? This is from, again, let's do it.
Right. And I have Houston too.
Yeah. Houston Texans, Minnesota Vikings. Although I think after yesterday, the Vikings defense not going to be out. You know, 49ers, Titans, Eagles, and honestly, I think this is probably going to flip. I think after this update, but
Patriots are going to make it close to the top after this one.
absolutely. Carolina Panthers, 12 and 13 points. Houston Texans, just taking a quick look at it, 20 and 8 points, 28 points. So yeah, there could be a flip on that, especially, you know, Houston, Davian Clowney out.
And he's only out for a few weeks. He'll be back probably after the bye week. And JJ has stepped up, not only defensively but offensively as
A lot of
well.
touchdowns, yes.
So I'm wondering
awesome.
if they're going to move him over to an offensive position, give or take.
It could be like the fridge back in the day.
And you know what? It worked for them there.
And here's the Seattle Seahawks, reportedly number 1 rated defense. They are tied for 7.
They gave up a lot. And that rolls into upset. Well, before we go on to an upset, defense-wise, the worst defense in the league.
Dallas Cowboys.
Gave up only
If I look at it, they're number 25 by themselves. 0 points. Which they have. That's their average.
what did they wind up with? 9. Not a great point score, but that's better than
you know,
-1 Seahawks. -1 from
Packers, -2 from the Falcons, you know, -7 from the Saints.
Yeah.
And the Saints who arguably had a great defense, you know, with Rob Ryan.
Yeah, and the pass run defense that was scary.
And they're a team that definitely has. Sean Jackson, day-to-day. Updated, got it from ESPN, did it
For a second. Depends on who's watching your phone. Yeah, Cowboys actually made a selling defensively, offensively. One that I'm keeping my eye on, and I'm going to kind of ride that horse till it dies. I'm liking what Tampa Bay has done off-season, building their defensive line. They got 4 of the biggest, 4 of the strongest, 4 of the healthiest linemen they could find. put them together and set them to work.
They are ahead of the Cowboys.
Well, they're middle of the field right now. They're like 18.
And sure he
So I'm thinking a couple more games where we get to melt together at the full speed of the NFL, and you're going to start seeing a turnaround on their defense. I'm not saying they're going to be a great team, but I think the defense is going to be a viable start every week, no matter who they go up against. So, we are 20 minutes.
I don't agree 20 minutes.
We are just amazing that way. We are. That was a whole lot of information.
Exactly.
20 minutes of information, possibly for free.
Absolutely.
Yes. We're stuck circle.
Yeah, we should.
25 cents.
Well, we're going to take a quick.
But what do we have left?
You know what? We were going to do some recaps, week 1 or 2, and some previews, but you know what? We're going to skip that because we're still into, young into the fantasy season, football season. Probably come back week 3 or 4 and then start actually looking at that
Week 3,
stuff.
week 4, we'll start getting a better idea of what's
But we're
going on.
going to do some book it bets and maybe a little podcast jerk off.
I still like fantasy fluff better. We do have some younger here still in this thing.
Trust me.
It's not you I'm worried about.
Devo at his age, he's all about that.
I know. That's just wrong.
Ah, yes. You were too at that age.
Stick around. We'll be back.
All right.